all your dollars up all that time, and you save up $100,000. Let's say you're a really great saver. You save $100,000 between 1999 and 2009. You had a good job and you were a great saver, so you got 100 grand, and you put that money in the bank or and let it sit there and draw, practically no interest, which it did for many, many years until they started to increase interest rates. That $100,000 would not be $100,000, right? We have this thing called inflation that is literally a money eater. It's a financial world destroyer, where literally it's like having your money in a vault where the rats are coming in. And like Pablo Escobar. Pablo Escobar used to lose a bit over $1 billion a year because the rats would eat his money. And so that's literally what would be happening. You'd have this money in a vault where the rats are just eating through this money. And so you come back and you're thinking you got $100,000 because it might look like $100,000, but really you've got like 90, over time. Then you got 80 and you got 70 because money is a depleting, declining asset. And as much as we talk about this and as much as I explain this, I don't know if we really get this because it kind of looks the same. It kind of looks like the same money that you put in there. But when you factor in the fact that the cost of everything has gone up, right? The cost of food has gone up. The cost of cars has gone up. The cost of buying a home has gone up, way up. You then realize that unfortunately you have a biased, unfair economy because there are people that control the money supply that are artificially inflating the value of your asset. So this, in my view, lends itself to the importance of understanding from a very fundamental level. I mean, making sure your children understand this, that you must own real assets to make real money. You must own real assets to make real money. What is a real asset? A real asset is something that you touch, something that has a dollar value attached to it that is going to give you a counterbalance against inflation, something that's going to go up as inflation goes up. Because inherently, inflation destroys the value of your dollar. And this, I don't know, if you were exposed to this idea when you were a kid, you probably saw inflation. I remember in the 1970s. Okay, somebody says sound check. Can y'all hear me? Give me a quick yes if you can hear me. Okay, Michael Bullock, he done stopped the show. He said we need a sound check. So we're gonna do a microphone check, microphone check, microphone. Okay. All right. So sorry, Michael. Looks like the mic is coming through. Okay. So we got to tell Mike that we got a good mic. So I'm gonna have to drop the mic so we and get back on the mic. All right, so here we go. That's a great, like, that was, look at that. I just be flowing, right? When I go to the gym, drink my coffee, I'm ready. I'm ready. All right, so let's keep going here. So inflation. Let's get back to inflation. Focus, boys. All right. So inflation destroys the value of your dollar. That's pretty much what it does. I remember being exposed to inflation and learning how inflation worked a little bit when I was a little kid. This is in the 1970s, and I used to chew Bubblicious and Bubble Yum. Anybody remember those days? Anybody go back that far? And I would go to the store and I would buy Bubblicious, and I remember noticing Bubblicious one year it's like 15 cents. The next year it was 20 cents. The next year it was 25 cents. And what I didn't realize until later, and I would buy, I buy the whole, it was terrible. See, back in the day, they didn't even tell us how terrible sugar was. We just thought it was like this crack for kids. Like we just love sugar. Now you're like, oh, sugar feeds cancer, and it doesn't. Man, damn. So back then I would buy like a pack of Bubblicious, and I would just chew it it's almost like a dope fiend going in the crack house. I would go in my room and just put the whole pack of Bubblicious in my mouth, and it was like the best feeling in the world. So anyway, but I remember noticing that the cost of Bubblicious and Bubble Yum was going up every year. Well, when I got older, literally 20 years later, I'm in my doctoral program and I'm studying historical economic data. And that's when I saw that the 1970s was a big year for inflation, that inflation was sky high in the 1970s. The cost of gas, cost of everything was going way, way up. There's a lot of stuff happening, a lot of crazy dynamics in the economy. And in fact, I remember Paul Volcker was the Fed chairman at the time, who was very unpopular because he increased interest rates dramatically to kill the inflation thing. Like to kill inflation for various reasons, you got to increase interest rates. That's what happened after the pandemic when they poured all that money into the economy. They had to increase interest rates in order to get inflation down. Volcker didn't give a damn. Volcker went in there and just said, "We're doing this. We're going to increase the interest rates. We don't care how much economic pain that there is. We got to get inflation under control." And guess what? It actually worked. It actually worked. But then you had kind of like these weird distortions. Like my father, when he bought our first family home in 1983, he paid 13% interest on the house. And he was very happy to do that. And, because he got to be a homeowner. And as a black man, that was really important for him to have an upward mobility for his family. He was a hardworking police officer. He just got his job on the academy, after he finished the academy. And so I was very proud of him to do that. And this also speaks to the value of your investments, right? Even though my father bought this house for that 13% interest rate, and this was actually using his military benefits, not the VA, but just the benefits that you get from being a soldier, which are well deserved, by the way. And in the long-term win, though, was that this house, maybe he bought it for $40,000. Over the years, the house is eventually worth over $200,000. So that becomes one of the segments, one of the keys to unlocking family wealth and financial security that evades a lot of us. It's very, very hard to have financial security if you never, ever, ever own property. I was explaining that to a young lady this weekend. I don't even remember who else. I talked to so many people, but I was talking to a young lady about that, and she bought some real estate. And I said, yeah, home ownership is undeniably proven to be the number one driver from poverty to middle class. That's what gets you there. If you want to go from middle class to upper class, you got to be in the stock market. And so that's the next thing I kind of want to drill into. A dollar is not a dollar because your dollar erodes in value. The only way to protect your dollars from the erosion in value is to take those dollars and transfer some piece of that into something that you own. And ownership it can start today. You buy you a couple shares of stock, boom, you're an owner. You eventually buy you some property, bam, you're an owner. And guess what? At that point, you have now moved from the space of just being a wealth creator for other people to being a wealth creator for yourself. And you're not just a wealth creator for yourself, others are now creating wealth for you. It sounds unfair. It's crazy, but it's true. It's true. You either giving it away or you receiving it. That's how this economy. You either giving it away or you either giving or you getting. Why do I say that? Well, if you are an employee for other people, you're giving wealth to your boss because he's getting more out of the deal than you are, and you're doing all the work. If you're a consumer and not a producer, you're giving wealth to the producer because you're giving them real money. They're giving you like a pair of blue jeans or some shoes or a new iPhone. If you are a renter, then you are giving wealth to your landlord. If you are a person who's been paying your rent consistently every single month for many, many years, by now you've probably purchased a house for your landlord. You are a giver, 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 giver. And if anybody's ever been in a relationship where you are a giver and you dealing with a greedy taker, is that a good relationship? Yes or no? Has anybody ever been in a relationship like that where you were give, 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 and the other person's like, "Oh, you're a giver? Great, because I'm a taker. We are a perfect match, right? Like you're draining yourself. I get to drain you too, and then I'm full, and then you're empty and depleted, and now you're in therapy because you think relationships are bad. But you signed on the contract because you want to be a giver because maybe you got some stuff from your childhood that you never dealt with, maybe some daddy issues or mommy issues or something like that, and you never fixed it. So now you end up in these really draining situations. That's why therapy is great for anybody, I guarantee you. Well, in capitalism, unfortunately, capitalism doesn't care a whole lot about how we feel. You got the givers, and then you flip over and you got the takers, or the people that could be takers if they want to be. I'm not encouraging anyone to be a taker. I'm not encouraging anybody to exploit anyone. I don't believe in being a capitalist. I just understand how to operate in a capitalist system. I spent 20 something years teaching at various universities, University of Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio State, about capitalism. And the whole time I taught it because that's what I had to teach because I was a finance professor. That's what finance professors do. So you flip the script when you start to buy real assets because now you're in a position where if anybody's going to do some taking, it's going to be you now. It doesn't mean that you should be taking or doing things to harm other people. I want to be clear about that. But when you own property, someone will and you put that property up for rent, then someone will be happy to be your tenant, maybe somebody who didn't come to this class, and then they'll be happy to pay rent to you. And then you'll be taking the rent money and you'll be paying the mortgage to your house, not to their house, right? That's crazy, right? They're paying you rent and you're paying the mortgage on your house with their rent, but the mortgage should be their house, right? That would be fair, but life ain't fair. Life, we know life is not fair. It's sad, but it's life is not fair. So now you and then on top of that, because you own the asset, when the price appreciation of the asset occurs, that all that goes in your pocket. That's building your family generational wealth. And on top of that, you're making that money while you sleep. You're making that money just because you're breathing, because you're existing. You're not living in this false reality that we're fed as children that you only make money when you're working. That is flawed and that is draining and that is terrible because eventually you're going to get tired of working. You're sleeping 8 or 9 hours a day anyway. Like who wants to feel like they have to work constantly in order to make money? Because eventually you just get exhausted and then still not be where you want to be because you've got this other thing that's working against you called inflation. So that even in you're running on the treadmill as fast as you can to build this wealth, you're literally running backward on one of those moving sidewalks. And on a moving sidewalk, if you really run hard, I saw this video of a lady that was running up an escalator in the wrong direction. And she was running real fast. She was just, and she was moving kind of, but she was moving real slow. Like literally, I mean, she would cover a step like every 20 seconds because everything was against her. And she was sitting there, and all these people were riding up the right side of the escalator that was taking them up, and they were just sitting there looking at her, moving past her, just watching her, like huffing. She's doing this, and they're just watching her. They're like, wow. And they're just kind of watching to see if the lady was actually going to make it or not. That's the economy that you live in. If you're on the wrong side of the escalator, you will run hard, huff and puff, push yourself into the ground, and you may get somewhere, but it's going to be really freaking hard. But if you're on the right side of the escalator, you'll just be riding up the thing and watching other people huff and puff. You'll be like, man, I made $100,000 last year doing nothing because I own property, and you worked your butt. You worked 20 hours a week of overtime. You miss time with your kids. You're now having health problems because you're so exhausted. You're burned out and you need therapy just to deal with all of the stress and the microaggressions that you're dealing with daily on the job. And I literally made more money than you doing nothing. I'm riding up this side of the escalator and it's taking me up naturally because I formed a certain relationship with the machine. Maybe I'm on the right side because I understand how the escalators work and somebody gave you some bad information. And that's what I see when it comes to so many of our people. You're given bad information, so you're on the wrong side of the escalator. And that's why you have to um you grow up kind of hearing your grandma tell you, well, if you're black, you got to work twice as hard to get half as much, and all this other stuff. And I don't think that's fair. I don't try to chase stuff like equality, honestly. I believe in excellence. I think we should just be the best, period. If you're the best, that's better than being equal. I'm not trying to be equal to white folks. I don't put them on a pedestal, right? And I watched this, believe it or not, Tyler Perry made a great movie recently. That's very rare for him. He made a movie called The Six Triple Eight about these extraordinary black women that played a critical role in World War II. It was really important, and they did, and I mean, just it was really inspirational. And of course, it had a couple little Tyler Perryisms in it, but that's how he makes his money. So I'm not even mad at him for it. He's a very nice man. I told you about my one conversation with him. I can't talk. I can't talk too bad about a man that was very nice to me. And he gave me a full tour of his studio back in 2015, I guess. His second in command did it. He was out of town, but I just said this is a good guy. So I'm not going to talk bad about a good guy, even though I ain't. His movies are not my cup of tea, but this one was good. This one was good. And in the six triple eight, there was a lot of discussion where the commander, who was played by Kerry Washington, was basically saying, when you're black, you know that you got to be twice as good to get half as much. And then she was like, and we're here to show these white folks that we are just as good as them and that we can do the job and we're gonna prove to them that we're gonna blah, blah. And I sat there with my sister. I was talking to my sister. My sister's a medical doctor. We were sitting on the couch watching the movie. I was watching with my daughter and actually with two of my girls. And I just turned to my sister. I said, I have no interest in spending my life trying to impress white folks. I just don't. Like I don't hate them. I don't hate white people. I don't honor you more than you honor me. There's nothing special about you. There's nothing special. And unless you choose, if you believe you're special, you have the right to believe that because I know I'm special. So that's okay. But there's no, why am I, what did, so I think that this whole tradition of us believing that we're supposed to work twice as hard to impress people who don't really matter that much, it kind of distorts our reality a little bit. I think you should impress yourself. If you're going to impress anybody, impress yourself. If you're going to impress anybody, impress your mama. Your mama gave birth to you. She deserves the right to be proud of you. If you're gonna impress anybody, impress God. Live whatever you consider to be a righteous life where you're helping others and benefiting others and impressing. But impressing white folks is not should not, in my opinion, be number one on our agenda list because there's nothing special about that group of people. And I don't say this in a negative or disrespectful way. I just say it in a factual way. Right. And if people would be offended by that statement, you're only offended because you're used to us worshiping you. You're used to us putting you on a pedestal. You're used to us wanting to, like, taking honor in slaving for you. And in fact, it was just kind of interesting, right? I told you how I admire soldiers a lot. I really do. And of course, I admired these women in this movie. But again, me and my sister kind of laughed when they were super disappointed because they didn't get sent over to Europe to fight in the war. They wanted to be in the middle of the combat zone. And we were like, wow, God bless the people that really want to be in the middle of a combat zone because I don't. But I'm extremely appreciative for those who've done that because that's a sacrifice that you can't put a dollar amount on. So they made a law that said every soldier in a combat zone gets $250,000 a year for life. I would vote for that 100%. Because I know how much of a sacrifice that is. So I think ultimately I think you got to be careful when you're talking about this wealth building thing to also understand that the wealth building exercise is also a self-esteem building exercise. You cannot separate building wealth from the building of your self-esteem and your self-confidence. You cannot, because when you have self-esteem and self-confidence, you know your worth. And when you know your worth, you don't sell yourself short. You don't go out here trying to serve other people who don't even like you that much. You don't go out here and take on positions in this economy that are going to be harmful to you. You don't get out here and say, I'm honored to sacrifice everything for you and then leave nothing for myself and nothing for my children because I'm effectively saying that you matter more to me than my own damn kids. So not only is your self-esteem affected, but your children's lifestyles are affected because you haven't taken the time to commit yourself to aiming for a higher standard. So in my world, what would make sense in terms of a higher standard is to say, well, you want to be an owner, I want to be an owner. You want to be the boss. Well, I'm about to be the boss. You want the money? Well, I'm going to have the money. You want financial security? Well, I want financial security. You want to do well for your children and build generational wealth? Well, I'm going to do for my children and build generational wealth. Why? Well, because I not only are not you know what? Not only are we equal, but I actually value myself and my family more than I value yours. So I'm not equal to you in my world, in my family. My family is the most important thing I got. So when you talk about that and you have that attitude when you approach the economy, that shifts everything. That changes what you aim for yourself. It changes how you teach your children. It changes how you set up your master plan. Because see, in this economy, think of it like a building. Think of capitalism like a big building. You got the basement and the bottom with the roaches and rats, and then you got a lot of apartments and stuff along the way, and they get nicer as you go up. And then you got the penthouse suite that's 3,000 square feet, 2 stories high, and got the helipad on the top. So some people enter the economy from the basement. Started from the bottom. Now we here, right? started from the bottom. Now and we identify with that because we kind of feel, I believe, inherently that we should be starting from the bottom. That's where we're supposed to be. And I think that just shifting your perspective on that will go a very long way because there's some people who entered the same damn building you live in, but they didn't start from the bottom. They landed, they took the helicopter and landed on the helipad above the penthouse. So they're the only way they'll end up on the same floor with you is if they blow it all and decide they want to go down. But they are starting at a higher level, which gives them a greater opportunity than somebody who started from the basement. A lot of things have to go right for you to get from the basement to the penthouse, but not much has to go in your favor for you to get to the penthouse and stay there. So what I'm saying, generally speaking, is I'm encouraging you today to land you and your children in the penthouse. And the thing is, when I'm talking to you, you're talking to someone who is almost like an engineer of the building who lives in the penthouse, who knows exactly where the penthouse is located. I know exactly when the helicopters are going to arrive. I know exactly which rooms you want, which ones you don't. Like think of it like capitalism, like a hotel, and you arrive. You know, you get there, and the little man is just punching the buttons on the computer, and I can tell you where the best rooms are. I know where the vacancies are. I know where I know where the best views are in the building. And I'm telling you, like, okay, you want to be over here. You don't want to be. Don't take that. Don't do that. That's not where you want to be over here. So that's what a finance professor can do is that we study the damn building. We're like, who lives in the bottom? Who lives in the middle? Who lives in the top? How did this person go from the bottom to the top? How did they go from the top to the bottom? We know these. This is what we do research on. We write academic studies that endure heavy amounts of scrutiny. I'm talking about scrutiny that most people can't imagine that level of scrutiny. Imagine like an NBA All-Star in his ability to play basketball. He plays at a different level because you can't come into the NBA and play like a chump or play with the okey doke stuff that you use in the weekend league. These are professional basketball players. All they do is play basketball, and they're all really tall. So when you're doing academic level research on this stuff, this is a lot different from like reading an article in a magazine or hearing something from your homeboy or whatever. Like this is heavy stuff. So I can tell you on a fundamental scientific level that these basic things that we talk about are extremely critical for you and anybody in here who cares about their future or their family, which I assume is everybody. You wouldn't be here if you didn't care. So what I would say to you is that in this economy, inflation's eroding your money every day. It's eating your money every day. You counter that through the ownership of real assets, real estate, stocks, Bitcoin, right? Whatever, gold, like owning something that's going to go up in value as this inflation occurs. And that's when inflation starts to become your friend rather than your enemy. That's when you're riding up the escalator as opposed to huffing and puffing and running against the escalator that's going down against you. People that are trying to work their way to wealth, they're huffing and puffing on the escalator going against them. People that want to save their way to wealth, you're huffing and puffing because you're doing it the hard way. The people that are investing that own assets, they're just standing there riding up the escalator because they picked the right side to get on. Okay, so before I move on, I want to remind everybody we're going to do a financial slumber party on Friday the 27th. If you didn't hear about it last time, now you know. And it's basically going to be it's something goofy that I like to do. I did it. I did the last one like a year and a half ago, and me and my team decided it would be fun to do another one. And this is where we meet at like 11 o'clock at night. I don't want to make it too late because I know some of y'all got to go to bed. But 11 o'clock at night, and for an hour and a half, I'm going to train you on the stock market. And we're going to do a training I did called Stock Market Decoded. And you can wear your pajamas, bring your popcorn. I'm gonna wear my pajamas. Don't make fun of me though, because I might look a little goofy. And that's what we're gonna do a stock market lesson in the middle of the night. Why is it in the middle of the night? Because it's just fun. I just thought it would be a cool thing to do. It reminds me when I was little and like Fridays were always special because that was when you didn't have to go to school the next day and the cartoons were gonna come on the next day and you would go stay like spend the night at your cousin's house and y'all be watching those, those old crappy shows like The Incredible Hulk and the Dukes of Hazzard. Y'all remember that? Everybody, Friday night videos, stuff like that. Yeah. So anyway, that's what we're gonna do. So, and if you're not old enough to remember any of that, you can still come to. Just know, like, some of my references are gonna sound weird. Just ask your parents. So anyway, if you'd like to come, then the cost for the training is $99, but that's lifetime access for everything that we do. Everybody in here, at the end till the end of the day, you can actually get it for 48% off. So that makes it $51. And so also there right now inside the curriculum, there is also material on the last slumber party that we did. And I did a training called Stock Market Decoded. And it was very powerful and it breaks down the stock market very well. And the last part, last but not least, very important, is that it's really pretty much buy one, get five free. So that means that if you live in a household with other people that want to be wealth builders, other people that want to go to the next level, they can actually get in with your membership. So you pay for one person, all 10 of y'all in the house can come to the same thing. So there we go. So there's the link to sign up. It's already in there. I see Elise has already signed up. Andrea. Okay. I see Mari Wilson. Okay, great. All right, awesome. So there you go. So there's the link. And I'll also text it out to you guys at some point, just as a reminder. And this is going to be great because a few hundred of you have already signed up. So that's really cool. And so you must like it. And I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, so join us at the Financial Slumber Party. It's going to be Friday night at 11 p.m. Eastern, and I'll send you all the links to join us. And I know you're going to have a blast. All right, so the next thing I wanted to hit on since we're talking about the ownership of real assets, first of all, give me a quick yes to confirm to me that you understand what I'm saying here. The simple message is that the ownership of real assets is the critical one of the most critical elements of wealth building. Is something that you want your kids to understand, is something that you want to train yourself on, your family on, stuff like that. I don't think it should be it doesn't have to be overly fancy. It doesn't have to be overly complicated. It literally comes down to just making basic decisions like, okay, I'm going to buy a house as soon as I can. I'm going to buy stock, whenever possible. And if you do these things consistently, you'll have a lot of wealth. So let me give you some mathematical illustrations that will help you understand the gravity, the absolute essential gravity of you owning stock as soon as you can and why that makes a difference. So let's go through a few examples. Okay, imagine how many of you remember the year 2000? How many? I know some of you may not even be old enough to have been born in the year 2000. Maybe you don't remember the year 2000. Give me a yes if you're old enough to remember the year 2000. Some of you may have been adults in the year 2000. I was about 29 years old in the year. I turned 29 that year. All right, so remember the year 2000. Now, the year 2000 was a different time. That was you got mail, right? And that was when everybody knew this big thing called the internet was the talk of the town. They talk about that as much as we talk about AI now, the same way we talk about quantum computing. Now, quantum computing is going to be the next big conversation. I think the metaverse and augmented reality is going to be the thing. I told you guys I've been buying consistently into that metaverse ETF, METV, METV. And I'm going to keep buying into that because I believe that Mark Zuckerberg has it right about the metaverse, what's it, virtual reality and augmented reality. I just see it. I see it coming. I see AI, quantum computing, and metaverse and AR mixed together. Bam, 10 years from now, the whole world's completely different. It's going to be absolutely insane. And so anyway, with that being said, in the year 2000, the talk was the internet, and we knew the internet was going to be big before it became big. It was no mystery. It wasn't like only a few people knew this, but only a few people invested in this, right? So let's go back to the year 2000 and imagine you had bought just $1,000 worth of stock in Apple in the year 2000. How much wealth did you have? Let's say that you did it very simple. You did it as simple as the monkeys in the Burton Malkiel experiment that we talked about. And we talked about, remember we were explaining how monkeys learned how to invest. Imagine if you did it that simple. Like you didn't go to school to study finance, you didn't go take any classes, you didn't have a whole lot of money or anything. You just literally did one simple thing. You took $1,000 of your money in the year 2000 and you put it into Apple. This is Apple did not sneak up on you. Most of you have known about Apple your whole life. Apple was a big company in the 1990s, so it's not like buying Apple would have been some sneaky little, move where where you knew something no one else knew. Everybody knew Apple was big in the year 2000. So imagine if you bought $1,000 worth of Apple stock back then. How much money would you have if you just bought it and sat on it? You would have $365,000 right now today. 365. Some of you have children that were born after the year 2000. if you bought them $1,000 worth of Apple stock, just $1,000 on your child. The average cost of raising a child is over 300,000. If you took 1,000 of that 300,000, bought them some Apple stock, your 25-year-old would or 24-year-old would have $365,000 in their bank account. That 24-year-old would never have to work for anyone for the rest of their life if they know even the basics on how to protect and manage their money. If they knew something like selling stock options, they could literally get on their phone app and buy, I don't know, 1,000 shares of a company. They could go to Meta. Meta is, let me see, we did this morning in our stock options income class. So they could buy a Meta. Let's say Meta's 589 per share. Let's say they bought 500 shares of Meta for $294,000. They could sell those options right now on the market and bring in an income of roughly, let me see here, roughly, let's just do a rough estimate here. They could make $8,374 per month and not have to work for anybody. $8,300 a month is what is that? Over $100,000 a year. So they will be making six figures with no job, with no expectations, no requirements, no stress, no nothing. They will make that money just because you had the foresight to just say, let me take $1,000 of all the many thousands I'm going to waste this year. Let me just take 1,000 and buy some Apple stock and just leave it there. That's my gift to you as a child. And I say that, and I think this is a great example to bring up now because Christmas is coming and a lot of you are going to spend a lot of money buying a lot of stuff for your kids, a lot of stuff. And I'm going to ask you the really hard question of saying, you know, I know you love your kids, but do you care about your kids? I really believe at the core of my soul that there's a big difference between loving someone and caring about them. Love is sometimes selfish. It can be. I can love a car. I love chicken, but I don't care about chicken. I don't care. I don't care what happened. I mean, he got his head chopped off at the KFC farm. I don't love this dude. I mean, I love him, but I don't care about him. But I love, he tastes delicious, but I don't care about it. Right? If I cared about the chicken, I would have wanted the chicken to be okay. I'd be like those people that go out and save animals and stuff, and I'd be like, "Don't kill the chickens." But no, I obviously don't love it. How can someone say they love you when they just ate your dead body? Like that's terrible. That's sick. That's sick, right? So I can again I love my car. I love these. I have these blue flip-flops on. They're really comfortable. I love my flip-flops. I will fight you if you take my flip-flops. My wife takes them and I get mad at her. I'm like, "Where's my flip-flops at?" Right? But I don't care about them. You understand? So loving someone, like even a child, you've ever seen people that love their kids, love the hell out of their kids, but they're doing nothing to prepare their children for the future. They're doing nothing to make sure their kids are going to be good and safe and healthy when they get older. Like I love them because I want to hug them and cuddle them and they give me unconditional love, which is really kind of sometimes it can be as much about you as it is about them. I'm not saying you're doing this, but you probably know people who do this, right? It's like I love my baby, but then the things you do aren't necessarily conducive to the long-term mental and physical health of the child. Like I love my baby so much that I keep the baby away from their father. But the baby's like, but I like my daddy. It don't matter. I hate him. So that means you're gonna hate him, right? So do I care about you or do I just love you? Those are two different things, right? So I really ask the difficult question. Do you love your kids, but do you care about them? Because if I care about you, see, this is hard. This is why I have so many deep theories. One day I'll just bore you with all my theories about love and everything. Um, because my goal is not to just love my wife. My goal is to care about my wife. Love can be possessive, like I love you so much and I'm gonna kill you. Or I love you so much and if I see you looking at somebody, I'm gonna kick your ass, right? Right? That's love, right? That's what we're used to. I think caring about somebody is being able to empathize. Empathy is not a popular word, but I think it should be because empathy is a word. Dr. Nicole Price uses this word a lot. And I thought about empathy really deeply. And I believe in that empathy is powerful. It's spiritual almost because empathy means I'm gonna put myself in your shoes. It's one definition of empathy. It's not, I'm not an expert on it, but it's my interpretation of it is just like I'm gonna put myself in your shoes and I'm going to want for you what I think you would want for yourself. Right? I'm going to really try my hardest to see the world from your perspective and make sure you are good, even if that's not in my best interest. Right? So I love my wife for sure. She's hot, she's smart, and everything else. But my goal is like, I really want to care about this woman. So caring about her means sometimes I might say, well, I want what's best for you, even if it's not in my best interest. Right. So for example, I'll hear people say, if I die, I don't ever want you to be with anybody else. Well, I don't think I could say that to my wife and care about her because if I died tomorrow, she's a woman. She's probably gonna want a dude around, like I mean, she's pretty. I'm sure some guy would want to spend time with her. And if the man treats her well, then why would I not? Why would I tell her I want you to be lonely and unhappy if I really care about you? No, it's like I told her, I said, you know what? I'm gonna leave you some money and you just live your best life. And as long as you're happy, then that's cool. I won't come haunt your house if I die tomorrow. Okay. So my point is to say that, I think that's a question to ask yourself about anything. Like, I love this person or this thing, but do I care about them? That's a different level. That's hard. I think it's really hard. And I don't think it's very popular. So long story short, here's what I'm saying. Let me get to the point. Get to the point, boys. With children, like we love them, we keep them close, we hug them and cuddle with them, we buy them stuff to make them happy. But caring about them, I think, is a different tier of that. It means sort of saying, okay, I want to protect you, whether I'm dead or alive. I want you to be in a good position when you get older, and I want you to be happy when you're older. So if I'm black and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about all the things I'm going through, all the things I've gone through, namely like working for racist people or being stressed out on the job or dealing with the pain of financial insecurity, then if I care about you, I'm going to protect you from all that because I have the power to protect you. I'm not going to always have that power, but I've got a unique opportunity to really do some basic things right now that you can't do for yourself, but these things are going to make a hell of a difference long term for you. So if it's the year 2000 and I got a newborn baby, maybe I buy that $1,000 worth of Apple stock instead of going on vacation that year, or whatever it is I was going to do, spend the money on. Maybe I was going to spend it on football camp or something. But first, I say, let's get this Apple stock because I care about you. And I know that in 20 something years, you're going to have some wealth and that's going to protect you from a lot of stuff. That's going to make a massive difference in your life, just an epic pivot in terms of what your options are going to be because you've got money in the bank. A black person with money in the bank is much freer than a black person who's broke. Do you agree with that? Do you agree with that? A black person that has plenty of money is not as affected by mistreatment and abuse as a person who is broke, desperate, and struggling. Right. So if I care about you, then that's what I'm going to do. And in fact, not only am I going to buy you that $1,000 worth of apples, think about this: $1,000 worth in 2000 turned into 365,000 bucks. What if you did that every year? And you might say, well, gosh, that's a lot of money. I can't afford it. I could point to probably 5 or 6 bills that you have where you put way more than $1,000 a year into those bills. If your car note was between $300 and $500 a month, $300 a month is $3,600 a month that you've invested in the future of the person that sold you that raggedy ass car that you probably can't even drive no more. Most of y'all don't have a car that you bought in the year 2000 that even has wheels on it now that can drive 2 inches down the street. So so why would I give more and invest more in the car dealer than I invest in the child that I allegedly love and care about so much? I'm at least going to love you as much as I love my damn car. And let me just tell you, the math grows exponentially. When you talk, let's specifically about the example with Apple stock. The math grows exponentially if you're investing that amount of money every year. Now you got a kid that's a 25-year-old multimillionaire. Now you got a kid who's 25 years old, who's a boss, who can literally go and command other people if they want to, and get and pay others and create jobs and live their best life at an epic level. Now you're playing the game with the big boys. So again, that $1,000, if I did that once a year, my kid's sitting on, $2, $3 million now. If I love them as much as I love the family car, and I'm doing $300 a month toward that kid, or if I spend as much money on that as I spend on football practice, basketball practice, cheerleading camp, whatever, then guess what? Now my kid is sitting on a massive amount of wealth doing, and engaged in a strategy that's not secret and hidden. Like, oh, white people, they don't want us to know. They don't never want us to know how to make no money. That's what they hiding the information. Did nobody hide Apple from you? You've been buying Apple products for 20 years. Apple was not a secret for you. Nike was not a secret for you. Some of us got dozens of pairs of Jordans in our pocket, in our closet. This was not hidden. No excuses. No excuses. No excuses. When it comes to your life and your kids and your community, your family, all that, no excuses. Your responsibility, period. Let me just, so we can close up, let me give you some other examples. If you bought $1,000 worth of Amazon in the year 2000, it would be worth $1.25 million today. Imagine if you bought $1,000 worth of Amazon every year. If you bought $1,000 worth of Tesla in 2010, not 2000, 2010, it would be worth over $250,000 today, 270,000. If you bought $1,000 worth of Nvidia in 2000, you would have $660,000 today. If you bought $1,000 worth of Microsoft in the year 2000, you would have only $24,000 today, but that would still be a lot of money. Okay, so and I got to double check that stat on Microsoft because I think it's actually bigger than that. But my point is to say that consistent investing is what makes people wealthy. It's what protects you from the economy. It allows inflation to become your friend and not your enemy, and it ultimately liberates you and everybody around you. So we're gonna build that wealth. Give me a yes in the chat so I know I did something good today. I need something to inspire me as I move forward through the rest of my day. I got 50,000 meetings with 100,000 people, and so I like to know that each day the one play thing that gives me solace in this world because I didn't have as many children as I wish I'd had is that I know that maybe somewhere somebody is letting me influence and support their quest to raise their kids in the best way possible. And I really mean that to the core of my soul. That's how I console myself. I said, gosh, I wish I had more kids, but then I was like, no, but wait a minute. A lot of the people in my classes have kids, so let's make that our contribution to the world. So that's those are the weird things I think about, and I know that's TMI, but that's me just being honest as I'm kind of processing a lot of things these days. So anyway, guys, have a good day. And by the way, in case you don't know, I do have a podcast on Spotify. It's called the Dr. Boyce Breakdown. So if you look up Dr. Boyce on Spotify, you'll find me there. And also another one I created just specifically for stock market stuff. It's called Dr. Boyce Daily Stock Market. So if you go into Spotify, look for my name. There's some stuff there you can subscribe to. And of course, if you want to get started on your wealth building journey, feel free to go to blackmoney101.com. That's blackmoney101.com. And last but not least, we are having the financial slumber party on Friday at 11 p.m. And we're going to do a training at night called Stock Market Decoded. The link is right there in the chat, and so you can get a discount if you sign up today. And the only thing I'm asking is that you wear your pajamas to the slumber party so we can all be goofy together. I don't want to be the only one in there looking crazy. So have a good day, everybody. God bless you, and I will hit you up tomorrow if you want to get the text message to be. Somebody said, Andrew said, "Boyce, I'm willing to be adopted." That's kind of funny. I saw that. Well, you are adopted. I'm looking for more kids. I love. I think black kids are a blessing. I really do. I was so happy. One of the biggest gifts my wife gave me was the ability to help raise those kids. So that's my personal feeling and experience. But anyway, so one more thing, if you want to be on the text list to get notified when we meet every morning for our millionaire training camp, you can text on your phone the word morning to the number 87948. So text morning to 87948 and I'll hit you up. And also we do have a text message for those of you that do have kids, and we have stuff for kids in the Black Business School. So you can also text the word youth to that same phone number, and you'll get some of our stuff from the Black Millionaires of Tomorrow program, financial flashcards, stuff like that. So have a good day, everybody. God bless you. I will see you all a little bit later.